Greetings peeps, TC Kirkham, TKR Video Central, TKR Chart Zone, and the Kirkham Report, here with another installment of TC's Vinyl Archive, the complete album collection. We left off with Colin Hay last time, which means we're starting in the HAs at the end. We're going to go through the early M's in this segment. I am still trying to cut down the length of these, so hopefully I will ramble less and less as we go along. First up on this collection, 3 solo albums, or more or less solo albums, by the Moody Blues' Justin Hayward. This actually also features John Lodge. It is, what is this? Blue Jays. This was a really interesting album. Also, there was Night Flight from the late 1980. And Songwriter, which is kind of an amalgam of things, but not quite a greatest hits album. I've always preferred Hayward as a solo performer as opposed to his stuff with the Moody Blues, although I don't dislike the Moody Blues. In fact, I have quite a few of their things, but I always like those better. And I got these recently, fairly recently, and I'm glad I got them. Don Henley, Building the Perfect Beast. This came from somebody, I think it was part of Steve's Value Vinyl shipment. It's got all of his big hits on it from 1985, 86. It's your typical Don Henley. This one I picked up a few years ago. I love foreign stuff. I especially love foreign stuff from kids. And there's at least one person in the vinyl community that's nuts about this, guys. Dit is Hunte. This is from 1967, I believe, or 68. And it's a really fun album. And he has several. Of course, he still performs. He's still a regular presenter, I think, in Germany on television. Really interesting, typical kid stuff. Really great voice for that age. He also became an actor later, so he qualifies as actors who sing. Disco classic, Patrick Hernandez, Born to Be Alive. Only big hit he had. Really great stuff, though, and all 6 songs on here are all terrific. I should probably run all of them on Disco Party, but I don't. Bertie Higgins' debut album, Just Another Day in Paradise. This has the hits Key Largo and Just Another Day in Paradise. It's a pretty good album. Typical yacht rock from the early 80s. But I actually think his second album, which I picked up fairly recently, which is Pirates and Poets, it actually has his cover of As Time Goes By on it. He's admittedly a huge Bogart fan, which is where Key Largo and all those came from. And good stuff on here, more great yacht rock, and a minor hit called Tokyo Joe. I listened to this once when I picked it up. I believe I got it from Adam at Record Crate. This is Chris Hillman from The Byrds, a solo album, Slippin' Away. I think this was before McGuinn, Clark, and Hillman got back together, and before the other band he was in. It's pretty straightforward, 70s, late 70s, mid-70s rock, pop rock, yacht rock, as it were. Russell Hitchcock, his solo album, from Air Supply. This came out in 86, I believe. He had a big AC hit with Someone Who Believes in You, but nothing else, and nothing huge on the pop chart, but it's typical good stuff. Russell's got one of the best voices in the business from that time. I don't remember where I got this from Don or from Adam, but I kept it sealed deliberately because it's so old, and I haven't listened to, I listened to some stuff, not the whole album. But I couldn't resist because he's one of my mom's favorites. Don Ho and Tiny Bubbles. I have not opened this. I don't intend to yet. I might soon. I like Don. He, of course, was very popular in the early 60s because he got involved with the Rat Pack and started doing stuff in Vegas. Tiny Bubbles is a classic, though. 2 Rupert Holmes albums are next. This one, I think, is my favorite. This is also got some water damage. I had some problems. Or actually, I think that came that way when I bought it. I bought it in the second-hand bin. This is Adventure. This is his 1981, late 80, early 81, late 80. Includes 3 songs that weren't huge hits, but I've played a couple of them on Obscuria. Morning Man and Blackjack. He also had I Don't Need You off this. All 3, 2 of those 3 hit the the AC chart, and I like it better than Partners in Crime, which I've never bought. I just have the singles from that. And his earlier album, the album that had Let's Get Crazy Tonight, which was his first Billboard Hot 100 solo hit. Pursuit of Happiness, this was on Private Stock, came out about a year and a half before Partners in Crime, and Escape made him a major star. Finally, Bruce Hornsby and the Range, The Way It Is. This was their debut album. Mary is now shrieking. She's a huge Bruce Hornsby fan. I have the second album and maybe the third on CD. I really liked him back then, and I need to listen to more of his modern stuff because Mary thinks the world of him, and she's been raving about his more recent stuff, and I got to listen to it one of these days. The next stack. This came from Black Box. No, I bought this separately. This is Hosier's debut album. Features Take Me to Church. I love him. He is an amazing artist. I never bought the second album that has Nina Cried Power on it, though. But this album, phenomenally good. Listen to it quite a bit. Julio Iglesias. This was his aimed at the American market album in 1983 or 84. Has Amor on it, and I believe it still says to all the girls I've loved before, right? I gotta look at the thing here. Yeah. Oh, am I wrong? Maybe I've got the wrong album. Let me turn the light on. No, that was from the next album. The one with all of you, the duets album with the Willie Nelson, Diana Ross. This did have Amor on it, though, and it was in like 6 different languages. Never really clicked, but it is a great album. If you like that kind of music, which I do. Talk a little bit about this gentleman because I adore his music. We'll talk more when I get to the groups. This is Ish, and On This Corner from 1986. Ish Ledesma, his last name. I have talked about him on other shows. He was the leader of Foxy in the 1970s, and in between this album from 1985 or 86, which is just stupendous, and his earlier solo album, that's this one from 1980 or 81, he also was the leader of Oxo, which had a hit with Whirly Girl. Both albums are great. This resembles more of a dance album, where this is more funky. I do not understand why he hasn't had more solo success. He continues to produce for other acts, but man, that's just he's a great artist, and both of those albums are top notch. This is a later album I picked up from Record Crate. I like him. He did great disco stuff. Paul Jabara and Shut Out. I believe this is his final album. It's actually on red vinyl. And did not have a big hit on it. I mean, he never had a big solo hit, but Pleasure Island was a hit on the dance chart. And I like Trapped in a Stairway, too, which was from Thank God It's Friday. But I always liked him. And he wrote great dance music. Jermaine Jackson and his solo album from 1984, which features Tell Me I'm Not Dreaming, and Do What You Do, and Dynamite, and Escape from the Planet of the Ant-Men, which is one of those songs that's just out there, but it's a lot of fun. And I like Jermaine's solo stuff in the 80s. He did really good stuff. This album also from the 80s, Precious Moments, features his version of Lonely Won't Leave Me Alone, which was a bigger hit for, or minor hit for Glenn Medeiros too, but Glenn's is better. Also has, I Think It's Love was the big hit off this, and If You Say My Eyes Are Beautiful, which was a duet with Whitney Houston. Both of these albums, top notch. Absolutely. Like that. I got this, I think, from Dawn. This is Michael Jackson's first solo album. Oh, excuse me. Got to Be There from 1971 or early 72. Got to Be There, of course, Rockin' Robin, and I Want to Be Where You Are on this album. Michael didn't do bad stuff even as a kid. He was like 12 or 13 when this came out. And of course, you follow that up with Thriller. Thriller from 1982, late 82, early 83. Great stuff. Every frickin' song on the album is awesome. And all but 2 songs were singles. The only 2 songs that weren't singles were Baby Be Mine and The Lady in My Life, both of which are fantastic, as is the rest of the album and all of the hits that came from it. I actually picked this up intending to give it as a prize, but it didn't arrive for 18 months. It was with that Dean Kahn album I showed a couple shows ago. This is Billy Joel and Street Life Serenade. This was before he became a big star, but it does have the well-known track The Entertainer on it. And Robert John, this is his album from 1979 that has his #1 smash, Sad Eyes, on it. Also has Lonely Eyes, which was the follow-up, and a lot of great music. If you like schlocky pop from the late 70s, it's a great album. Always liked Robert John. He was a terrific vocalist. From Robert John, we go a completely different direction to Daniel Johns. This was Daniel's debut solo album. Came out in 2022, I believe. I had it on order for over a year, and it took a while because they kickstarted it. Daniel was, of course, the lead singer and main songwriter from Silverchair. This album, which is titled, let me look it up here on the side here, if I can see it. For and Ever. He doesn't do bad stuff. Silverchair was one of my favorite new art, rock acts of the 90s, and I loved all their albums. And this one is kind of a progression from that and really good. I wish it had a bigger release because it deserves to be heard by more people. Sammy John's self-titled album from 1975 features the hit Chevy Van, which the movie, the van, would later use as its premise. This is great old-fashioned singer-songwriter yacht rock stuff. Chevy Van is a great song. Early Morning Love was a minor hit also. I got this for free from a demo company. I think it was one of those Ears ones I got. Loved it. Oh yes. The eclectic tastes I have. Again, actors who sing. He sang originally. I have his stuff with his band Robert Jones from when he was a teenager. I haven't picked up the new one yet, but I got this on sale from Rough Trade about a year and a half, 2 years ago. It's out there, but that's to be expected. This is Caleb Landry Jones and the Motherstone. That album art is just freaky as it is. Caleb, known as an actor, of course, for No Country for Old Men. He's in 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. He's in a whole bunch of good stuff. And he played Banshee in X-Men First Class. Terrific stuff. And very eclectic album. I like his voice, but his style, sometimes I don't care for. But I do listen to it. One of my Menudo-connected albums, this is Johnny and Invita Me from 1984. This was his first solo album after leaving the band. Really great Latin teen pop. I'll simply say this as an excuse. Actors who sang. Don Johnson and Heartbeat. I actually like this a lot. I don't know whether I like this or the Bruce Willis better, but I will get to him later. Heartbeat, of course, big hit off this album. And he never charted again on the pop chart alone. He had a minor hit with his then girlfriend Barbra Streisand called Till I Loved You a couple years later. I think it's on his second album. But this is actually fun actor pop from the mid-'80s. Classic disco, which I picked up from a Discogs seller for really cheap because I wanted it and it got really good price on it. This is Patrick Juvet and Lady of the Night, or Lady Night. This includes both of his big hits. No, this includes the second big hit, Swiss Kiss, which if you've never heard it, you haven't listened to Disco Party. I play his stuff all the time. Really good stuff. And he's another one that I got to know from his appearances on the Merv Griffin Show. KC, this is his solo album from 1981, Space Cadet Solo Flight. Never really had a big hit from it, but it has a lot of great music. His version of You Keep Me Hanging On is interesting. Not as good as I've heard from other people, Lisa Hartman and Kim Wilde, but still a lot of fun. Nick Kamen, this is his debut album, I believe, Us. I have one of his other albums on CD. He is really, he had his fan base, but he never really took off. And it's good mid-'80s dance pop for what it is. This is an actor who sings, whose album is stupendously good. And I've never figured out why he was unable to make it as a singer. He was in bands as a teenager. He continues to do music from time to time. But he is best known as an actor from his role as the Greatest American Hero and as Paul Drake Jr. in all the Perry Mason movies from the 80s and 90s. That's William. Here he's Billy Cat and Secret Smiles. He is a terrific songwriter. I love this album. Sleeping Beauty is especially a great song. And A Girl Like You was the single, didn't go anywhere. But again, really stupendous musician in addition to being a great actor. I listened to this once because I had heard of him, and I'd heard of him in the vinyl community. Peter Kukkonen and Black Kangaroo. Not my cup of tea. It was worth buying and it was worth having, but it's not one that I listen to frequently. I've listened to it a couple of times just to see if I can get into it. And I haven't been able to get into it fully, but it's actually, I can see why people like this guy a lot. Then we get into Greg Ken, Rock and Roll. This is technically the Greg Ken band, but they're all filed with his solo stuff, which this is the only thing I have, actually. This is the album that came out right before Jeopardy, the album with Jeopardy on it. I've liked Greg since he first appeared in the late 70s with his album. I think the first album was Next of Kin. He was a terrific songwriter, fun vocalist, fun on stage. He later became a top mystery novelist and a DJ, passed away a couple years ago. Love this guy. I cannot say enough about this gentleman either. I've talked about him on other shows. This was his debut album from 2020, or 2018, excuse me. And shortly after it came out, he was hit with a devastating medical diagnosis and didn't put anything else out for several years. This is Jesse Kinch, and I'm Not Like Everyone Else. Jesse was the winner of the first and only season of Rising Star here in America. An incredible voice. The time he recorded this, he was 22. He's 30 now. After this album came out, he was diagnosed with a brain tumor. He had to spend 2 years in treatment. He has come back with a couple of digital albums that are stupendous. This kid's voice will blow you away. Check it out, please. Jesse Kinch, I'm Not Like Everyone Else. Everybody else. Then we have the flamboyance that is Adam Lambert. This is High Drama from 2022. I think it was. This has a lot of covers of classic stuff, Holding Out for a Hero, Chandelier, Old Ordinary World, all really excellent stuff. I'm a huge fan of his. I have 2 or 3 of his CDs. And I also have Velvet. This came from Black Box, which is a lot of cool stuff too. I love the albums he released right after American Idol also. He is always, and talk about, you can never replace Freddie Mercury, but you can stand in for him. We saw them live with Adam in concert. Adam Lambert and Queen, they were stupendous. Freddie would have been proud. Clean it up a bit. Trying to. Okay. Shorter section here because I have a huge section of another one to go through. Bought this on a whim from Dawn, I believe. Jack Lemmon sings and plays music from Some Like It Hot. These are various songs that were featured in that phenomenally hilarious movie, one of our all-time favorite films. And for the time, this is really good stuff. All right. I have kidded this guy. I have slammed on this guy. Kim cannot stand this guy. But I'll tell you something. You could do worse. And I actually do like this album. And I don't know if Love 76 was as good, which was the album that shot him to fame from the TV album that he did and paid for himself. But this is his only major label album, and it is actually not bad. This is Peter Lemongello and Do I Love You from 1976. It's on private stock. The title track I actually like quite well. And his cover of All You Get From Love is a Love Song. I don't know if he did it first or the Carpenters did it first, but I don't care for his version. But I like everything else on here is good. If you like the crooner, classic crooner style from the mid-70s, Jack Jones, Lou Rawls, Peter is not bad. Peter Lemongello, Do I Love You. Everybody, I think, in the vinyl community has this album or knows somebody that does. John and Yoko, Double Fantasy. It's John Lennon as far as I'm concerned. It's filed under Lennon. I got this as a prize for a contest, and we didn't do it. And I'm like, fine, I'll take it. And I paid for it and kept it. Only John Lennon I have in my collection. I actually do love this album. Even Yoko stuff on here is not terrible. I am not a huge Yoko Ono fan. She's an acquired taste. I do like a couple of her later singles. My Man was excellent. But this album is more for John than for Yoko. And of course, it came out just 3 weeks before his untimely murder. Fantastic, good stuff from 1980? 1980? The 2 solo albums that were available in the 80s from the world's most unfairly maligned lead singer, Lamal, Don't Suppose. Fired from Kajagoogoo, he showed them by having a bigger hit than they had on his own with Never Ending Story, which is included on this album, as is Only for Love. This is the UK pressing. I had to order it special when it came out when I worked at Buzzard's Nest. Love him, love his voice, love this whole album. I was surprised to see a reissue of it in Spend Me Round's backstock a few months ago. This is Color All My Days, the follow-up that features Love in Your Eyes and the hilarious Working Out. Lamal is an underrated guy, and he deserves better. I was so good to see Kajagoogoo put out a new EP in 2012, all the original members, and then he has also been releasing some original stuff online, and his cover of A Horse with No Name last year was really awesome. Next up, 4 albums, I believe, by Kent Lavoie, I believe his real name is. People know him as Lobo. He was a huge star in the 70s. Typical singer-songwriter, yacht rock type stuff. This is Calumet, which has, let me see which singles are on here. Oh yes, of course, I can't read it without the light. Hang on a minute. It has Oh, geez, I can't even read it with the light. How Can I Tell Him was the big hit off this. And I think this is interesting. Record bar price D. You notice on the front, Big Tree Records. Big Tree Records. On the back, Bell Records. I have no idea what that's about. And I've never seen him on Bell, ever. Everything I have is on Big Tree, and his first big hit was on Big Tree, Me and You and a Dog Named Boo. So, I don't know about that one. And that's this album, introducing Lobo, which features Me and You and a Dog Named Boo. And She Didn't Do Magic. These are all fantastic, by the way. Lobo, this was his 1979 comeback album. For a brief time, he had a hit with Where Were You When I Was Falling in Love. It was nice to see him back after 5 years. Terrific album. And this one has his version of Daydream Believer and Reason to Believe, but is best known for Rings, which was the single. This is Just a Singer. Good album, without a question. I don't know if I could pick a favorite. I like his kind of stuff. This is the kind of pop I grew up with. Kenny Loggins, Celebrate Me Home. This is the only thing I have on vinyl. Everything else I have by Loggins I have on CD, which include an Essential album and 3 or 4 of his albums, and what I think is his all-time best album, which is his Return to Pooh Corner album for children. It was phenomenal. This one is great. Has I believe this has Celebrate Me Home and is there? I thought Whenever I Called You Friend came off this, but I don't think it does after all. It's a good album, though. Kenny Loggins is another one of those acts that, as far as I'm concerned, can do no wrong. The man was a marvelous singer-songwriter. This guy deserved more credit than he got. New York, London, Paris, Munich features his hit Pop Music and his dance song Moonlight and Music. It's a better album than anybody gives it credit for. There's the back cover. Great disco pop from the 1979. And this one from 1980, late 80 or early 81, which went nowhere. The Official Secrets Act, which features Keep It To Yourself, another song I love by him. Robin Scott, the gentleman who is M, has taken pop music and has remixed it, I don't know, 367 Ways from Sunday, and has had a hit with it on the British charts several times. So, all right. We're up to an artist I have almost everything by. Everything from the 70s through the mid-80s. I was a huge fan. I'm not going to apologize for being a huge fan. The man was awesome. He remains an incredible performer and an incredible songwriter, and from what I've heard, an incredible humanitarian. From an alphabetical order, this is my Barry Manilow collection. This is 1980s Barry, or 81's Barry, sorry. I Made It Through the Rain is on here, and Lonely Together. And this duet with Lily Tomlin, the last duet, which is just hilarious. It's a spoof of all the big super duets that had come out the previous year and a half, like You're the One That I Want, and You Don't Bring Me Flowers, and all those. Great album. I have a more recent unopened copy that I bought because mine is water damaged. This is a prize in my collection. I bought it from Dawn. She had it on auction. I got it for a great price. This is the original Bell pressing of Barry Manilow, later known as this album, Barry Manilow 1. It's the same album. This one is on Bell. This one is on Arista. This is the Columbia Records Club edition of it. It has a separate code number as a result. But this had Could It Be Magic was the best known song off here. I love his version of Friends, which Bette Midler made famous, and of course he did. all kinds of arrangements for her, and he'd recorded a couple of these other songs with other acts he had in the early 70s. Barry Manilow 2 features It's a Miracle and Mandy. Great stuff. Again, always terrific stuff from Manilow. He doesn't do bad stuff as far as I'm concerned. Even Now, which I think is my favorite album by him, 1978, features the title track Somewhere in the Night and Copacabana at the Copa, as well as more great music. Barry Manilow, Here Comes the Night. This is from the early 80s, I think 83. His cover of Memory from Cats. And Some Girls is on here. Some Kind of Friend was a fairly big hit. I always was partial to the last two tracks on side 2, Heart of Steel and Stay. Those should have been singles. They were great. If I Could Love Again from 1981 features the old songs Let's Hang On and Somewhere Down the Road. Again, I love all of these. Barry Manilow Live, everybody knows that. Terrific stuff. Very Special Medley is on here, all of his commercial jingles. It's one of the few live albums I adore. From the only album he released during that period, from 1974 to 1989, on another label. He briefly left Arista after having a falling out with Clive Davis, and released Manilow on RCA. This is the only RCA album I have by Barry. It includes I'm Your Man and Let's Take All Night. Is that not? Oh, is that on here? No, that's not on here. Sweet Heaven from the Copacabana TV movie is on here. But really good stuff. There is this, his EP, Oh Julie, from 1982. The only place you can get the track Oh Julie anymore. And Some Kind of Friend, which was originally on here. I think it's also originally on the Greatest Hits albums, which we'll get to when I get to the hits collections. One Voice, my second favorite, maybe my first favorite. It's right up there with Even Now. This has Ships, I Don't Want to Walk Without You, and When I Wanted You, as well as the exquisite title track done with all overdubs and stuff, Carpenter style, and a great album track called Who's Been Sleeping in My Bed, which I love. Swing Street was his jazz album, up-tempo jazz. Features his hit Hey Mambo with Kid Creole and the Coconuts, which came out in '86, I believe. Fun, a lot funner album than the one I'll get to last here, which I'm not a huge fan of. This One's For You from 1976 has This One's For You, the original studio version of Daybreak, and Weekend in New England. And Looks Like We Made It. Great album. Trying to Get the Feeling. This was the first album I bought by him when I was 12 or 13. This has I Write the Songs, New York City Rhythm, Trying to Get the Feeling Again, and Bandstand Boogie, which is an immortal one. This is the one album that I really don't care for, and I know it was a passion project of his. 2 AM Paradise Cafe. This is real jazz stuff. I'm not the biggest jazz fan in the world, but I do like When October Goes, which was the single, and his duet with Sarah Vaughan. Blue is not bad. The rest of the album is just not my cup of tea. That's the Manilows, and I have one last album to share with you for this show. And it is this one. I was looking for this for years, and I found it online somewhere a couple of years ago at a really good price, and I picked it up. This is Steve March and Lucky. It came out in 1978. Steve was, at the time, 23 years old. He was the son of Hal March and the stepson of Mel Torme. You might recognize him. He was one of the singers on Name That Tune during one season, the 77-78 season, I believe. I always thought this album would be really great because I'd heard the single from it. I was right. It's great pop singer-songwriter stuff, and I'm glad I finally got a hold of it. So, from Justin Hayward to Steve March, that is segment number 3, show number 3 of the albums, or 4, whatever it is. There'll be another one along in a few days with the next group, which will start with whatever comes after March. I hope you like this show. I hope you'll subscribe, and please comment. I haven't heard from anybody yet. Everybody's been asking me for this. I noticed the listens are not up there yet. I hope people get to see this. I hope people want to see it. I am always looking for people to like my stuff. So please like and share. And if you can, support us. Patreon, GoFundMe. Right now we have a GoFundMe because we're having a lot of financial issues with bills and stuff. But you can support us all the time on Patreon, Ko-Fi, and our swag shop. I hope you'll do that. Until next time, for the complete vinyl archives, I'm TC Kirkham, TKR Video Central and the Kirkham Report. See you on the interwebs. Ciao, baby.